Nadja, hi, Jim Delapine here. I want to do this recording for you to help you with your character. And you did a terrific job with this. This is a great choice for a torso, and your background is also an excellent choice. So I want to help you a little further with this. So first of all, I hate the text, so we're going to help you with that. All right, so let me hide the text. And what you want to do is have the character fit inside that 6 by 8 inch area roughly. So I'm simply going to select this base leg here, and shift click on the shadow to select that also. So now both layers are selected. Now I'll click and drag up. As I'm dragging, I'm holding down shift. So now it's away from the border, from the edge. Okay, so now the next step is I want to show you. Let's talk about shadows. So if we select the torso, all right, we want to have a shadow thrown onto this to kind of ground the head onto the torso. So what I'm going to do is, with that floor pillow layer active, we're going to create a new layer, all right? And then I'm going to go to my paintbrush and then click on the foreground color and select a medium gray color, right? And then from my paintbrushes, I have a funky brush here, so let me select this brush here. Make sure it's at 0% hardness, all right? So I have a paintbrush here, and I want to increase my brush size. So little tip here, the right bracket key will increase your brush size, and the left bracket key will decrease it. Okay, so I'm going to get a fairly large brush. So now on this new layer, if I paint, it will look like that. So we don't want that. We want to keep it contained inside and onto that torso. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to Control or Command click on the layer mask for the floor pillow layer. So that creates a selection. So with that new layer still active, I'm now going to paint on this layer, okay, with gray. So that's what it looks like. Now I'll put that into multiply mode. Now you have a true shadow. All right, and now it grounds it. Okay, so if it's too much, you can always go back and erase part of it, and so on. Okay, so now you have a shadow thrown on here. It's actually a little bit much, so if I go to my eraser tool, and again, you have to select the appropriate size brush, you can maybe erase part of it away. Make sure also it's at 0% hardness for the softest brush, so you can now remove part of it. Okay, so you'd want the same thing to occur for a shadow being thrown onto this base here. So I will select that. I'll deselect. I'll select the base Drake slide layer table, and I'll create a new layer above that. I will now Control or Command click on the thumbnail for the layer mask for the Drake slide table layer to create a selection. On that new layer, I will now paint with gray onto the base and then put that into multiply. Okay, so now you have a shadow being thrown onto the leg. All right, let me deselect. And now let's talk about text. You also may want to go in here to this eye, for example, and create a drop shadow. So if I double click on the buttons layer, I'll select drop shadow, and then note that you have the only problem with this is that it goes to one side, so you have to select the direction of it. So if you can do that, or there's another option here. You can have an outer glow right here. All right, let me hide the shadow. So with the outer glow, you can basically make it look like, let me cancel that and zoom in. Let me show you this. So I'm double clicking, going to outer glow, selecting the name, and now what you can do is increase the size, the spread, and experiment with that to see what works best. All right, so that may help make it look like it's set onto this, like it's inside the material of the head. All right, so I'll hit OK, and then for the button, I note that the button here. So note this. I have a layer style here. I'm going to duplicate that to bring it to this layer. So Alt or Option click dragging that FX to this button layer, and you have the same thing. All right, so you can actually go in there by double clicking the FX and adjust the setting for that. So outer glow, maybe increase the opacity, decrease the spread, the size. So you could experiment with that, see what works best, okay? All right, so now let's talk about the text. So I created new text, all right? Yours does not work for me. It's just on there and it's just not working. So I want to show you another method. So I created this text here. So this text here was created using this vertical type tool, okay? So once you click, using the vertical type tool, you can create text, okay? So I want to place that on the wall. So with this text layer active, I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to rasterize this text. It gives you more freedom. So I'm going to right click. I'm actually going to click and shift click. Let me not do that yet. So let's see, with Fantasia. All right, I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to rasterize the type. All right, so now it's no longer text. And what I'm going to do is actually make this a color. So watch this now. I'm going to create I'll just select red, okay? And I'll hit OK. So red's my foreground color. I want to fill all of this text with red. So if I just go to fill with this foreground color, I'm going to hit Alt or Option Delete. That fills the entire layer. So let me undo that. And then I'm going to click on the Lock Transparent Pixel option for the Fantasia layer. Now we'll lock everything except for any opaque pixels on that layer. And I'll now Alt Delete. And that fills that text with that color. Okay? So now I will position this. Whoops. Fantasia. And now I will position this. So I want to make it appear as if it's on this surface here. All right, so that means perspective. You have perspective here. You have to look at the lines on the pictures on the wall and imagine where the floor line would be. So if I hit Control T, I can now hold down the Control key or the Command key if you're in the Mac and drag this up a little bit, and then Control or Command click this down a little bit. So now you've got some perspective going on. Okay, I'll hit Enter. Now in this case you have one entire background layer. So what you're going to need to do now is to create a layer mask for this. Alright, and now with the layer mask active, my paintbrush selected, 100% hardness, and a reasonable size brush. Wherever it's going to cross behind something like this arm here or the bed, you're going to need to mask that out. Alright, so it's going to take zooming in close, you know. Where this is coming around the arm here, a little trick here. Let me go to that layer. Alright, if I Control click or Command click on the chair layer, notice what I have here. Alright, so I have a selection. Now I'm going to go back to that Fantasia layer thumbnail. I'm going to select that. I'm going to fill that with black so it'll mask out what's in that selection. So Alt Delete. There you go. Perfect. Okay? So you can also do things like you can change the blending mode. You know, you can experiment by hitting the down arrow key and just see what happens. In this case, I would just go with a simple color. Okay, so I would do the same thing with furniture. You can reduce it also, but maybe place it on this wall here. I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to you. You can stretch it if you want, but you can place this on the wall here. All right, and keep in mind you don't have to have the entire name showing. All right, so if you create a layer mask, I'm going to leave this as, let me see here, let me rasterize this type and then fill that with the same color. Whoops. And I'll do the same thing. I want to make that text that same color. All right, so now with the layer mask I don't really like how this looks. I wonder if we could place this against, along this surface here. So I'll stretch this in. It's going to look a little odd, but I want you to be creative here. All right, move this over. Yeah, I think this could work. Okay, so now, okay, so you have that. All right, so that's interesting. So now what I'll do is I will go to these layers here. All right, this layer here, for example, the doorknob. I'll control click or command click on that thumbnail to make that a selection. And then on the layer mask for the furniture layer with that active, I'm going to fill that with white, with black rather. Right, so I'm filling with black on the layer mask to hide whatever's on the furniture layer. So Alt delete. Okay, you see the idea? I'll now go to the teddy bear head and I'll control or command click on that layer. I want to fill in black on the furniture layer thumbnail, the mask. Okay, so that hides that little piece right there, and then this layer here. Okay, you see where I'm going with this? The torso layer. Okay. Okay, hides that part. But now the bed, since it's part of the background, you'll have to simply go in there after deselecting and yeah, the background image is not a good quality image. You see all this JPEG artifacts? That makes it not a good image. So you may want to blur this a little bit. All right, so something like that. All right, now we'll work with Fairy. All right, where is Fairy? Here it is. So bring this here. I'll rasterize that layer. Right click, rasterize type. And I'm going to fill that with red by locking the transparent portion. All this could have been done before. I made the text red. So now, all right, Control T. Let's start. I'm going to rotate this. I want to distort this so that it's on the floor now. All right. So my Control key or Command key, if you're on the Mac, is held down, and you're just simply clicking and manipulating this around until it looks right perspective-wise. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. All right, and now what we'll do is we'll drag that down to the very bottom, underneath the shadow, but above the background layer. And there you go. All right, so you have that, and now what you'll need to do is simply go in here, and what I want you to do is create a layer mask for that, and then start masking out part of this Y so it looks like it goes under the carpet. Now there's a part here of this shagginess of the carpet that you want to mimic, so you can go to your paintbrush tools, your brush tools. Right, and I would suggest scrolling down and selecting, I don't know, one of these scatter brushes here. Okay, and then you can increase the size of the brush and then paint with black, and you're basically getting that texture in there. Okay, all right, so yeah, I think that will be a lot more effective. Okay, I hope that helped. I know it's a lot of information. All right, take care. Don't forget also, one very important thing you did not do. You need to create an adjustment layer that is a clipping mask, and also save and rename a channel. Okay, so that's simply a matter of Control or Command clicking on any layer mask, and then going to select, save selection, naming it and hitting it OK, and don't forget to name it, and then it'll show up as a channel. Okay, and then for your adjustment layer, you need to select any image here, somewhere in the middle. All right, and then you can click on this layer mask icon. Let's go to levels. Instantly, or hold down the Alt or Option key and click in between these layers. It is now a clipping mask, and then you can, you don't even have to make any adjustments, but any adjustment you make now will actually, there's nothing existing here. Interesting. But as long as I see that, you'll be fine. All right? Okay, take care.